Hello, I'm Carol Bimmels, and I'm an EFT practitioner, and I'd like to teach you how to tap. Tapping is wonderful. I've been doing this for 16, 17 years now, and it's the fastest way I know to calm yourself down, to soothe distress, to actually get rid of a lot of the patterns that you're carrying around. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. It was developed by Gary Craig in the 90s. Good man. He decided that this was something that belonged in the hands of everyone and put it out on the internet. And so thank you, Gary. And it's all over the internet by now. So, and which is probably how you found me. So let me just let me lead you through your first experience, perhaps, of doing tapping. Now, it's emotional freedom techniques, plural. And what I'm going to teach you essentially is the core technique. This is the very basic tapping routine procedure. There are a lot of other techniques that go with it, which have to do with what Gary calls the art of delivery. And most people, though, can learn this one technique and use it themselves. And there are some problems that I would recommend you get some help from a professional. And there's a blog on the website that talks about that. But for right now, what I want you to do is think about something. And I don't want a biggie. If you've had huge trauma in your life, early childhood sexual abuse, war trauma, do not bring this up. You would not be doing yourself a favor. You would not prove to yourself that tapping works. It would just not be a good thing. And for those of you who have, say, recent bereavement, you've got your you've got your grieving to do. So I wouldn't say, yes, dear so-and-so died, and and expect after a round of tapping or so that, wow, I feel fine. So find something that maybe is in the category of, oh, something annoyed me last week, something is stressing me out. It could be, I've got a little pain in my shoulder, I did something to it. Could be range of motion, I've got this stiff neck. I always prefer, actually, if you're learning tapping, to start with something emotional. Physical stuff many times responds beautifully, just beautifully to tapping, but some of it doesn't, and sometimes there are emotional components to whatever. So I want you to have a first experience of, wow, this stuff works. So if you could think of something like, oh, somebody upset you last week. They said something. Or, oh, you were caught in traffic and you wasted all that time. Or I could say, oh, I've got company coming and I only have 2.5 hours to clean this mess of a house. And, it might be something like that. And what we do is we find something that's triggering us. Okay, this is usually a memory of something that happened in our lives, and it triggered a response. So we've got the event, the thing that happened. We have our response, our emotional response. Feelings are felt in the body. So what I want you to do is find that something that happened, that's something that triggered it. And then what's your response? And if you can put a label to it, is it fear? Is it embarrassment? Is it sadness? Is it panic? Is it annoyance? Is it? There's so many words that we put to things, and all I ask is that you find, yeah, I had this feeling. And the second thing is, where is it in your body? This is really important because feelings are not just, oh, I feel this, I just know it in my head. We feel it in our body. And if you can, if you can, not everyone can, but if you can, locate it in your body. This is really important. So I'm going to use an example, and I'll help flesh this out. So you're going to find that feeling in your body. All right. So what I'm going to ask you right now, and the other thing we do, and it's really important, to take a measurement, and we call this subjective unit of distress, SUD, and it starts with 0. Yeah, this thing happened. Nah, I don't have any reaction to it. It happened. That's big deal, And then 10. So it's a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is, okay, this is really, really intense. This is as intense as I can imagine feeling. Okay, that's right up there. That's the worst. 0 is, nah, I'm fine. I don't feel anything. So we also ask that you take a measurement. And this is because it's been our experience. Well, one, you want to keep track of this. And especially right now, if you want to learn this technique, part of what you're doing is proving to yourself that it works. You have to have some evidence. So if you can give it a number, and then we do it, and then you go, whoa, look at that. It's now, it was an 8, now it's 5, and oh my gosh, now it's a 3. And, if that really helps to prove. Okay, so measurements are good. So we ask that you just give a number to it. How upset are you? How much do you feel this emotion that you have identified? So what I'm going to ask right now, I've been talking, so probably that's given you some time to say, yeah, I know what I want to work on. For those of you who don't know, and you just don't have anything right now, this is the situation, and I certainly have been in this myself, where it's kind of like, a self-help book. Yes, let's find out what this is all about. And at the end of the chapter, there's here's this exercise for you to do, and you just go, nah, I just want to learn about it, And so you read the book to the end, and you go, well, that's interesting. I wonder if it works. So don't do that with tapping. Well, unless you want to, it's your choice. But I would recommend that if you don't have something in mind right now, or, there really isn't anything bothering you, you got a choice. You can either listen to it to the end, or you can just push pause and wait until something comes along and you go, that's it. All right. So I want everybody to get something before we proceed. So if you need to push that pause button, now's the time to do it. Okay, for the rest of you, I'm just going to explain how it goes, and I'm going to, I'm making up a situation because I'm feeling rather good this morning. So I'm going to, my fictional situation is that Roger yelled at me last week. Now, I picked Roger, I guess, because I really don't know anybody named Roger. But what comes to mind is, and always something is going to come to mind when you say words. I think Roger Rabbit. Okay, so I've got this little flash in my brain, this vision of Roger Rabbit yelling at me. This is fictional. So, and this will happen. You say what happened, and immediately you're going to get a picture. You're going to get the memory of the words. You may even get, you'll get a feeling in your body, that emotional feeling. You may get other feelings. You may hear words. Some people can get a flash of a smell or of a taste in their mouth. You know how that is. If I say the word lemon, automatically you start to salivate because just saying the word lemon will, trigger that. So there are lots of things that will get triggered. So just pay attention to what comes up when you say what it was, that hurt you, that bothered you. So in my case, it's this fictional Roger yelled at me. And so you say what happened, that's a trigger. The next thing is, what's the feeling? And lots of us can put a label. We can say, oh, well, I feel scared, or oh, I feel angry, or other words to that effect, and use your words. Okay, don't clean this up. So I feel scared. I feel angry. I feel, I feel ashamed. Oh, I feel so embarrassed. Oh, I feel annoyed. I feel frustrated. I feel, you know, there are just so many words. So pick a word that seems correct to you, that rings a bell, and it's your words. Don't, you know, don't wonder if you've got the right words. Yeah, if that's what popped up for you, that's the right word. So I'm just going to say the word is scared. I felt scared, and I'm making this up. And where do I feel it? I'm going to say, oh, I feel it right here in my chest. All right. So I've got what happened. Roger yelled at me. The feeling, fear. Ugh, I feel it here in my chest. So here's what we do. We take we we start with what's called the setup. And Gary Craig said, and he's great with analogies and metaphors. He said, well, it's like if you're going to go bowling, first you got to set up the pins. So this is what we're doing. We're setting up the problem. And so we're saying what it was. We are saying our feelings. We're locating it. And then we're saying a phrase of appreciation, of self-appreciation. And there's a lot of latitude here. Some people like the actual words that, you know, that is sort of standard. I've made a little change myself, but you have to pick the words that feel right to you, and just trust yourself. Trust yourself. So the setup is saying, while you tap the side of your hand, and we call this the karate chop, because if you're breaking a board in karate, you'd be hitting the side of your hand. So take all the fingers of your other hand. Does it matter which hand? Nope, it doesn't. If you want to switch off, great. You know, it doesn't matter. So you start tapping on the karate chop point, the fleshy part of the side of your hand, and you say, even though. Those are standard words, even though. And then you say, what happened? Or you say what you're feeling, or you say both. So in my case, it would be, even though Roger yelled at me, and I feel this fear, and I feel it right here in my chest. Or I might say other words. Oh, it feels like a blow to my chest. It doesn't matter. You tune into the problem. That's why you're saying these things. Or if you're in a public toilet and you've sat down and you've closed the door and you're just doing this tapping, you don't want anyone to know, you mouth the words or you think the words, all right? What's important is you tune into the problem. This is what the setup does. You tune into the problem while you're tapping, and then you say some words of appreciation, or you say some words of intention. So the standard phrase is, I deeply and completely accept myself. So the whole thing would be, okay, even though Roger yelled at me and I'm really afraid, I feel it here, I choose to accept, deeply and completely accept myself. Now, you heard me say something else. So I will just explain that after years of working with teenagers, 25 years of working with teenagers, I've discovered that if I just have them say those words, and then I go, does it sound true? A good proportion of them will go, no. I'm feeling bad, but I accept myself. What does this mean? And so, and some people, and it may be you, who go, ooh, no, I don't accept myself. It was my fault that this happened, or I don't feel good about this. And no, in general, I'm self-critical, or whatever. If these words don't resonate with you, and if you don't go essentially, yeah, I've got this upset right now, but basically, hey, I'm okay. If that doesn't resonate, then how about these words? I choose to accept myself. How's that? Most people can say that. Or, I want to accept myself. Or, I choose to calm down. I choose to feel better. These are all words that work. All right. Don't get caught up on the words. It's whatever. If I'm saying something right now and you go, yeah, that's what I want to say, you say that, okay? Your words are the right words. So I'm going to say the words, I choose to accept myself deeply and completely. It's, by the way, there are reports of people who had a number of problems including like deep depression and real self-esteem issues. And they just plugged away at this. And so every day for, a month or two, they were saying, this problem, but even so I accept myself. This problem, but even so I accept myself. And you know what? It has a residual effect, which would be, with all my faults, I love me still. It's a good thing to say. So if you don't mind saying it and it says, yeah, that's good, just say with me the words, I choose to accept myself deeply and completely. All right, or whatever words you want to choose. So in this case, let's just take Roger yelled at me. So I'd be going, well, let me just show you the spots. Okay, the first spot after we're doing this, and we're going to do this 3 times, then there will be spots right here, and it's called inner eyebrow. Now, the actual spots, and these are acupoints from acupressure, the actual spots are actually right on the inside of the eye. However, banging yourself, possibly hitting yourself in the eye doesn't make sense. So that's why we just take 3 fingers and tap here. You'll be hitting both inside eyebrow points and the one in the middle. Hey, a bonus. Tap, 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 tap. So that's the first point. Second is beside the eye, the little bone right on the outside of the eye. Third is under the eye, cheekbone. You can feel the bone right there. Tap, tap, tap. Next spot, philtrum. I love that word. Tap, tap, tap. It's between the nose and the lip, anywhere. And it really is, if you want to get in the center, it's kind of a 1-finger deal, but if you want to use 2, that's great. Chin. Now, it's not the tip of the chin. Typically when you say this is the chin, it's the top of the chin. It's the crease here between the lip and the chin. Okay, so we call this chin. Top of the chin. Tap, tap, tap. Next spot. Right here, we've got this collarbone. And if you feel around, and depending on how bony you are, how much flesh you've got, I can feel too what feel like little knobs right here. You don't want to be in the center of the chest. You want to be just an inch or 2 out. Hit that, okay? Now, you notice with some of these points where it's bilateral, you can tap, if you want to tap both of those spots, here we've only got 1 and 1, but if you want to tap both of these spots or, later under the arm, have at it. There's no right way to do this. A lot of people love to do that. I started out just with one side, and so that's what I do. But whatever you want to do, do. So right here, okay, do not worry. If you are an inch or 2 off, guess what's going to happen? It's a little like if you hit the rim of a drum, is the center going to vibrate? Yeah. You're close enough that this reverberation is being felt. So just tap, tap, tap. All right, that's called collarbone. Next spot is under the arm, and I just raise my hand. I call this the monkey spot. Some people don't like to do that. Some people prefer to do this. All right. Some people with short arms, you can't do this, or very big chests or busts. So whatever. If you want to do this, if you want to. This kind of opens the way. I like this. So just remember, it's about 4 inches down. Women, you'll be hitting, the side panel of your bra. Tap, tap, tap. Just take the whole hand. Slap, slap, slap. And then the last part is top of the head. Now, this wasn't a part of the original, but now all of us EFT practitioners use this. It's a good spot. There are many conjunctions of meridians right back here. And it's as though you have a middle part, and this is the top of your head. Some people start with this. I love to end with it. The reason I like to end with it is it feels like, good girl, good boy, good job, congratulations, tap, 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 tap. So that's the last spot I use. All right. So in my case, it would be, okay, even though Roger yelled at me and I feel all this fear in my chest, I choose to accept myself deeply and completely, even though Roger yelled at me. And I feel this fear in my chest. I deeply and completely accept myself, even though Roger yelled at me and I feel this fear. I can feel it right now. It's in my chest. You just talk, liven it up. Just whatever pops in your mind. The thing is, focus on what it is. I choose to accept myself deeply and completely. Okay, here we go. Tap, tap, tap. In general, just make sure you tap maybe about 7 times, which would be bump, 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 bump. Okay? So we're just tapping here, and you can, and it's a great thing to do, either say out loud or think a reminder phrase. And the reminder phrase could be, Roger yelled at me, and it'll all come back, because I'm thinking, I'm accessing it right now. Or I might use as my reminder phrase, this fear in my chest, this fear in my chest, this fear in my chest. There's no right way to do it. Just keep focusing, keep focusing, keep focusing. All right? So I would do this every spot. Take a deep breath in and out. Breathing helps the energy to go. This fear in my chest. This fear in my chest. This fear in my chest. Okay. This fear in my chest. This fear in my chest. Now, that's one whole round. It goes so fast that nowadays I just say, let's do 2 rounds, before we stop and check in. So, guess what? I was tapping with this hand, but I put this hand up. Now I'm just going to come down and use this hand. Then I'm going to go on this side of my face or my body. This fear in my chest, this fear in my chest. This fear in my chest, this fear in my chest. See how quickly it can just go very, very fast. This fear in my chest, this fear in my chest, this fear, letting it go. Take a deep breath. Okay, and now is what we call the check-in. All right, so isn't it a good thing you wrote down that number or you assessed? Because here's what we do now. We just check in. Okay, what's there as I think about it now? Please go back to the original scene because things change and you may go, oh, well, no, it's still a high number. And what may have happened is this fear in your chest, because Roger yelled at you, that may have actually gone to a 0. And then automatically the anger came up. And so now you're going, well, I'm still upset. It's still a 7. Well, wait, what's a 7? Check in with that original thing. Roger yelled at me. I had this fear in my chest. And you may go, oh, no, it was a 7. Now it's a 3. Okay, just take note. Or it could be, no, that's all gone. But now I feel angry. Then you take another measurement. You write down what that is. Or it may be, you know what? I still feel fear, but you know what? Strangely enough, it's now gone down into my gut. Okay? So you're just checking in. You're checking in and you're saying, what's happened? What's changed or not? What's there? And then I like to write things down because here's the thing. If you don't write things down, you know what happens? Or what can happen? And in EFT, we call it the apex effect. You may start out being very, very upset, and this works so quickly that there's real cognitive dissonance. It doesn't make sense that this could have done it. And so you will go, oh, well, I guess I wasn't that upset. Or, oh, it must have been you distracted me. And that's why I don't feel upset anymore. Or, oh, well, I don't usually hold a grudge anyway. So it's probably, it wasn't a big problem. You'll do something and it won't then validate the work that you've done. Now, why do I care if tapping gets validated? I care because if you don't know that it's tapping that has done this, you're not going to use tapping the next time. You're going to say, oh, well, it was that nice lady I talked to. Or you're going to say, oh, well, I guess I wasn't that bothered. And you won't use tapping. And I want you to know that, yeah, no, this is the magic. This is the magic. This is the ingredient. This is why it works. So it's really important to acknowledge, what it is. Okay. Write down your number. Write what it's changed to. Now, here's what you do. The second time you tap, and trust me, it doesn't usually disappear in one or a couple rounds of tapping. You check in and you say, okay, what's remaining? What's left? And so then your second setup statement is going to reflect that. Why is that? So you're going to say, even though there's some of this fear left, let's pretend my 7 now went down to a 3. Or if you're an engineer or something, you'll say 3.5 or whatever, you know. Some people really, it really is that specific. So whatever it is. Oh, and by the way, if you're going, numbers, I don't know. Trust whatever number just sort of floated in your brain. Just say, oh, okay, write it down. Do not spend minutes and minutes trying to fine tune what the actual, you know, number of minutes is. Don't do that. So let's just say, you know, Roger. Okay. So now I'm going to say, okay, so even though I still have some of this fear, you know, because Roger yelled at me, I choose to accept myself deeply and completely, even though I still have some of this left. And then my reminder phrase might be, you know, the rest of this fear, the rest of this fear, the rest of this fear. Or it might be still a little scared, still a little scared. Or it might be fear in my chest, size 3. I don't know. You know, again, use your own words. But why is this important? Okay, your subconscious, which is what's bringing this stuff up. Okay, it's the repository of all this information. Is very literal, And if you say the same thing, it could possibly go, what's he talking about? What's she talking about? I already worked on it. The analogy that I use for the teens that I work with is, pretend your mom just came to the doorway of your room and said, you are not going out tonight until your room is clean. And you have spent, you know, 10 minutes just working away at it. If she came back 10 minutes later, put her hands on her hips and said, I said, clean your room, you'd be a little annoyed, yes? Mom, take a look, you know? And so you don't want to insult your wonderful body, which has listened to you and has started to work on this. So you want to acknowledge that some of it has been worked on, and now please work on the remainder. So that's why you do it. All right. So it's, you know, the rest of this, the rest of this, the rest of this. It could be, sometimes I'll start saying, letting it go, you know, the rest of this fear, letting it go, letting it all go. The rest of this fear, letting it go, letting it go, letting it all go. The rest of this fear, letting it go, letting it go. All right. Second round, you do the same thing. Check in, take a deep breath, and you know, pay attention. What's going on? All right. So, are you ready? You've got your own issue. I'm just going to ask you for a moment. Check in and really feel it as intensely as you can. Oh, let me just say one thing. If for whatever reason you can't feel it that intensely and you start working on it, and after we do a couple rounds, it's higher. Does that mean, oh no, tapping makes it worse? No, it doesn't mean that. All it means is now you've relaxed enough that you can really feel it, okay? And thereafter, will it go down, down, down? Sure, it will. Okay, so be assured, tapping never makes things worse. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but it doesn't make things worse. And it, you know, 85, 90% of the time, it just works immediately. I'll talk later if it hasn't. But for right now, you've got your issue, and let's tap along. And I'm just going to say, even though I have this, and you're going to think whatever your problem is, you know, and you're feeling, I'm just going to leave a little space for you to think it or say it out loud. You're just going to repeat after me, and then we'll just keep going, all right? So here we go. Even though I have this, I choose to accept myself deeply and completely. Even though I have this, I choose to accept myself deeply and completely. One more time. Even though I have this, I choose to accept myself deeply and completely. Okay. This, feel in your own words. Take a breath. This. 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 I just switched hands. I don't know why. This. 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 Good. Let's do another round. This. Keep focusing on the problem. This. This distress. This. 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 Last spot. This. Okay, deep breath. And now's your chance. Just check in. The question is, what's there? Just tune in. All right. So you're going to see if the feeling is the same. Where's it located in your body? Did anything new appear? Sometimes the quality will change. Sometimes, it might start out, oh, it feels like a blow to my chest. Oh, now it feels just this little poking sensation. Whatever you find. Just check in, what's there, and then give it a number. So now we're going to do a second round, and maybe that'll clean it up, maybe it won't. If it doesn't, please, do a third or fourth, but you'll do it on your own time. And if any of you went from whatever number down to a 0 and there's nothing there, feel free to tap on the same thing if you want to. Maybe you'll be cleaning out, when we say deeply and completely, maybe there's some other deep stuff that you're not aware of. It will clean it out. If there's something else you want to switch to, fine. If some of you started with one feeling and now it's another, okay, I'm going to say remaining, whatever, but you're just going to ignore those words and you're now going to say whatever that new feeling is. That is a new aspect of the problem, which was your general sort of upset about what happened. And that'll happen. We may have several feelings about, what happened. So please feel to address, say different words rather than remaining, okay? But for those of you who still have some left with that original thing that we started on, here we go. Second go round. Even though I have some remaining about this issue, I choose to accept myself deeply and completely. Even though I have some of this left, I choose to accept myself deeply and completely. One more time. Even though there's some of this stuff left, I choose to accept myself deeply and completely. And maybe we can even throw in, and I choose to let it all go. That is what you want, right? Okay. So here we go. Remaining. Breathe. Remaining. Breathe. Remaining. 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 Letting it go. Remaining. Letting it go. Remaining. Letting it go. Remaining. Letting it go. Letting it all go. Okay, deep breath. Check in. See what's there. Some of you may be to a 0. Congratulations. Others, you may have reduced it, but you're not down to a 0. Please keep tapping. You can get it down to a 0. You really can. And there are other techniques that we use around this one basic core technique, but you have learned the most important part. And I would say to you, the beauty of this is it's a do-it-yourself thing. And this is something for the rest of your life. If you're upset, you know how to self-soothe and self-soothe immediately. There are some things that you probably shouldn't be going after with this, and it would be good to do it with someone else. I'm going to write a blog about that. So if you want to look at my website and check out that blog, please do. Um, Even if you right now are in a place of, wow, I feel good, whatever, my advice to you would be in the next week or so, please be attentive to any time you feel any little upset and do this again. Because my experience has been that people that I've worked with, teenagers, a lot of them, if I've used it and it's like, oh yeah, I no longer have test anxiety, it's gone, or oh yeah, I now have no problem, giving a talk in front of the class. And if I say, have you used it again? Oh, no. No. And do they remember where the spots are? No. So do yourself a favor. If you can reinforce this learning just by, here's this little thing that I'm a little bit upset by, just tap, okay? Because what you're doing is you're training your subconscious. And the more you do something, it's just a skill that you learn and you reinforce. And once you do that, your body, your subconscious, and even your conscious, knows this technique works. And so you'll be more inclined to remember that it does. So happy tapping, and thanks for joining me today. I'm wishing you well. Take care.